Okay, hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jeevan Togi. So today we've got Clint Estevilla, who's Head of Sales for Cloudoffis, who's going to show, I guess, what's new, currently there with Cloudoffis. So today, Clint will go through his presentation. So if you do have any questions during today's presentation, please type them into the Q&A panel and we'll cover that off at the end and we'll cover any of your questions. If there's any questions we can't cover today, we will obviously get back to you as soon as we can. And today's session is recorded. So if any stage, you do have to drop off, we will send a link out to all attendees. So I'll pass over now to Clint.
Thank you very much, Jeevan. Let me just make sure I can see my, that's all right. I don't think I can bring up my face, but all good. Thank you everybody for making the time, and thanks again, Jeevan, for that introduction. So, yeah, look, we've done a few of these over the years, and we've even done a few of these recently insofar as showing you the integration that we've got with particularly BGL work papers now, and the way that our audit system can really automate and standardize audit jobs, particularly coming from BGL. So today, what I want to cover off is what we're currently working on. So there's obviously been quite a big change with independence ticking over as of a couple of weeks ago now. And that sort of means a lot of different things for auditors that are continuing to audit in this new world. Okay, a lot of external relationships, new relationships as well, which is going to create, possibly challenging workflows with those external relationships, and also present various challenges for the auditors insofar as managing their practice. So we've worked on a couple of different things here. If I just, there we go. So we've worked on a couple of different things that we're due to release next month that are really going to assist in the way that firms can manage their practice moving forward. Okay. Now, what I'm going to show you is, so I will do a demo of where the software is at the moment and give you a run through of all of the features, and then explain where these new features that we've got coming out are going to fit in. We don't normally show you, I guess, a preview or just some screens or logic that's coming. We normally just wait until it's here until we show you. But we are conscious that, look, it's a couple of weeks into July. Everybody's been on the back foot with everything that's going on in the world, obviously, coming into the end of financial year. So we know many of you are making decisions and reviewing software right now, to set up your workflows for the for this financial year. All right. So the first one that we're working on at the moment, a big ticket item, is a practice management dashboard. Okay, so I'll take you into a little bit more detail into what that's going to look like. Effectively, it's going to give you insight into your customers' performance, staff. You'll be able to track the efficiency of jobs, where your queries get stuck. All those really important practice insights to help you make better decisions in your business. Okay. The next one, another really big potential time saver, is a billing integration with Xero and Myob. So for the last 4 years or so since Cloudoffis has been released, we've really focused on automating the audit itself. Okay, so the job, so i.e. get the data in from your customer, import from BGL, do the audit as quickly as possible with a bunch of automation. We're conscious that there's a whole range of other processes that also take a lot of time, right? So like, what happens before the audit with your letters? What happens after the audit when you start needing to generate bills and track all of this sort of stuff? So we're building a billing module, okay, where you can capture all of the various logic in the way that you bill, whether it's hourly or fixed price or tiered or whatever it is. And then we can effectively shoot an API call through to a Xero or a Myob to go and generate that invoice automatically. Okay, so again, just trying to really get rid of a lot of that admin and mundane tasks that yourself or your staff are working on. The next one is improved letters reports workflow. So this is really your pre-audit letters and then your post-audit reports that you need to generate. Okay, so obviously with independence, all of these new relationships, you might have 4 or 5 different customers that you're having to manage all of these different external workflows for. We've already got some logic that really is good as it stands today, but we are improving it. So there's going to be some new screens, new logic, and some new integrations. And that brings me to MS Office and DocuSign. So part of the suite moving forward. More broadly in Cloudoffis, you'll be able to open and edit and close Microsoft Office documentation, but more importantly, you'll be able to manage your letters in the context of this workflow. So all of your engagement letters, management letters, and so on, you can now manage when we release it, in Microsoft Office. So that just creates a whole heap of features and formatting ability to help you manage that workflow. And then there's DocuSign. So if your customers, obviously your customers, the accountants are the ones sending out these packs to their clients to get these things signed. If they're using DocuSign, they'll have the ability to log in to DocuSign through Cloudoffis and leverage that document integration with their DocuSign account to again automate that process. All right, so without any further ado, I will take you through a run through of the various features, and then we'll just discuss where these new implementations that we're waiting for, again aimed at next month, will take place compared with what we've got now. Okay, so what you can see here is the home screen dashboard of Cloudoffis Audit Automation. So really it's a summary of your jobs by status. Okay, so as soon as you've created a job or your client's created a job for you, you can then track it all through various stages. So for instance, if you're the auditor and you've got staff doing the preparation work for you, they might get it to a review completed stage. You can just log in, hit straight on that status, and then you've got your workflow that's outstanding waiting for you here. There's then a list of the jobs in progress. So we've got 3 levels of staff that you can allocate. So we've got preparer, manager, and auditor. Okay, so whoever is logged in will get their own custom view of their jobs. Okay, and you can also access your view all and have a look at all the various different buckets in which your jobs might fall into. We've then got internal and external queries. Okay, so again, designed to automate your communication and ensure that you've got everything in context of the work that you're doing. So really just replacing email and other sort of different communication tools that you might be using. So internal is anybody that's got to log in into your portal here, i.e. your staff in the company that you're in. And then external is any customers that you're connected to. So one of the really good features, really popular features, is our connected portal module. So if we go up to admin, connect, you can then go and create as many portals as you want for all of your customers. So even if you've got 50 customers, no problems, just enter in the ABN, firm name and email, connect. Your customer will then get a welcome email. They'll just need to punch in a couple of basic details. It certainly doesn't cost them anything. It's all included as part of your package. And then they can go and generate themselves a portal. Okay. So this is what the customer portal looks like. A slightly different view, a few less stages that they can track. They're simply tracking the stages that the audit's up to on your side. So open is, once the job's been sent over, then we've got it in progress and then finalized and completed. Okay, so very, very basic. We've then got the jobs, the list of jobs that they've sent over to you. They can't really do anything with this, obviously. It's just like a read-only type view, but in the 3-dot menu here, they can view queries, view docs, and upload docs at any time. Okay, so really all they're doing with this portal is creating the jobs for you, tracking them, answering queries, and then finally accessing your auditor templates. Okay, so I'll get to that on your side in a moment. But once you've allocated who gets access out of your customers to what letters, let's say you shared this audit engagement letter with them, they could go and create letters automatically. Okay, so they could go and select all, for instance, and they can hit generate, and the software using the template that you've got and then the logic, it's like mail merge logic effectively. So we plug into the BGL data and then populate, the fund information, the auditor information, etc. Okay, so with a couple of clicks, they can go and generate all of the letters that they need to get signed. Okay, and you can control exactly what they have access to, and you'll also get the signed document back. So at the moment, and this is what we're improving, so you'll need to get them to download the document, go and get it signed, however that they're getting that done at the moment, and then they'll have to upload the signed doc. Okay, so we still are tracking, you know, what has been updated or uploaded, I should say, so they know, you know, where they're up to insofar as tracking the signed documents, but it just isn't as automated as we want it to be. Okay, so moving forward, now I'll just share with you this screen. So once you share all of those letters with your customer, so they're going to have a completely new view of this. Okay, so these documents have been shared. They're going to have a whole heap of features. So things like send for signature. There'll be an option to, as I said, log into DocuSign. So there'll be a DocuSign plugin available in Cloudoffis. They just need to go and enter, you know, whoever else needs to sign, and they can go and send that out. Then based on that integration, if it gets signed, we'll update the status, then you can share that back to the auditor. Okay, so you'll have, your customers will have this really nice workflow of managing their pre and post audit letters and reports with various statuses completely integrated back to your portal, and then with DocuSign to go and get their customers to sign it. Okay. All right, so we sort of skipped ahead a little bit with this process. So really what you do to start with, or your customer would do to start with, is go and import the customer information from BGL. Okay, so really, really simple. Okay, so we plug straight into BGL Simple Fund 360, so that, you know, the cloud version. We've also got the ability to or for you or your customers to upload desktop data as well. Okay, so where it's cloud, we plug straight into the API. Your customer can then go and enter their credentials. They'll get a list of the funds that they want to import. They can choose all, bring them into Cloudoffis, and then from there I'll show in a moment, but they'll then create a job, and then you'll get that in your portal. But there also is the ability to manually punch in some customer data. Okay, so there's obviously no integration here, so we just need to manually enter all this in, and then you can upload an Excel-based trial balance and general ledger. Okay, when the job gets to Cloudoffis, and you'll see this in a moment, we standardize the way that it appears. We customize the checklist, you know, we plug in with the audit reports and queries and all that sort of stuff. So even with desktop jobs, you know, I know Jeevan's on here, and he's, I know the guys are very much pushing for everybody to get onto the cloud version for various reasons that are quite obvious. But you know, for those that are still in that transition, we can receive those jobs as well. Okay.
Hey, Clint.
Yes.
A few of the attendees just asked if you could move your mic down a little bit. They said it was clearer. You've moved your mic up, and it was not as clear as what it is before. So yeah.
I do apologize, guys. I think I just had a sip of water or something. Is that better?
Yeah, it sounds better.
Hopefully that's better. Okay, cool. All right. So where are we? So we've got the client data in for BGL. So now we want to create a job. So really simple process. We're just going and identifying the financial year that we're creating. So I'm just going to use an old one to avoid any duplication. Now we're going to assign it externally. Okay, so this is your client assigning it externally to you. Okay, so let's say you're ABC auditor. You would appear in your client's drop-down list here. Your client would then choose which staff on their side, conscious that, you know, they're the accounting firm that might have 3 different staff that are looking after various funds. They can let you know who's the contact. Okay, so they're the person that's going to receive the queries and alerts and things like that when you communicate with them. They choose who that is, create next. Now we've got a stage here to upload documents. Now for everybody using BGL work papers, and you might have been on some of our previous webinars where we've showed you that really powerful integration, you won't need to do this step at all. Okay, the integration between Cloudoffis and BGL work papers allows firms or your customers to save the documents in itemized areas, e.g. like a bank statement at the cash at bank line. And then when we import this job, we'll also pull that document in and park it in that line item in Cloudoffis, okay? Everybody else, okay, so your Simple Fund 360 users that aren't using the work papers module or desktop users, everybody else can simply just go and upload documents, grab all the source documentation, and that's it. Okay, so what will happen now, once the document's uploaded into Cloudoffis, I might just show you an example of what that will look like while we are here. So I'll just do a couple there. So the system will actually process OCR on the documents automatically to make your life as an auditor easier. Okay, so what this is doing is actually reading the content in the PDF itself. That way, when we get to you doing the audit and you wanting to reference a closing balance, you can simply just search for the number and we'll go and find where it appears in the PDFs, and you'll see that in a moment. All right. So that's it for the customer portal. Okay, so if we go back to the home screen, again, create jobs, send them over to you, track the jobs, you know, upload any documents at any time, use the letters and reports automation, which is going to improve next month, and then, you know, handle all of their queries as well. Okay, so it really does become quite a really useful dashboard. You know, I hear stories of firms, you know, using Dropbox and Google and all these sort of other ways to communicate and use documentation. So this is quite a powerful tool. All right. So now we're back into your portal. Okay, so this is your Cloudoffis Auditor Access. So now, once a job's been created by your customer, it's going to be sitting over here in the not started queue. So just that far left box over on the left. All you need to do, assign the staff. Okay, so just assign. So you can have up to 3. If there's, you know, only 2 people involved, you can just add the same person twice. And then once you've assigned, you just need to then process the audit job. Processing will go and grab all the data from BGL and then build you out a dashboard in Cloudoffis for you to process your end of year. Okay, which looks like this. Okay, so there's a few automations that occur on the fund before we even get started. Okay, so we've got a risk assessment. Okay, so this particular audit is coming up as a medium risk. So we click into there. We've got some global settings that we can help you set up at the very, very start, where we set up 7 checks or parameters automatically. Okay, they're pretty standard checks. So things like in-house asset, you know, raise a medium risk alert if you know, you're equal to or greater than the 5%, right? So it's all very, very, very standard stuff. You can edit these, you can add to them, you can delete them, you know, just to tweak them to your own risk appetite as well. And in that way, when you see a medium risk, you can open this up and have a look through and say, okay, why is this a medium risk? I can see that it's flagged over here, and it's this item 3 arm's length. Okay. So you know what you're dealing with as soon as you get the data, and if there is any sort of high risk elements to it, and you can treat it accordingly. We've also got observations. Now, these are automated checks that get conducted on the data as soon as the dashboard's created. So there's currently 11 checks. We will run these automatically, then let you know if there's any warnings. Okay, so ideally everything's in good to go. We've done the check, and there's nothing for you to worry about. Okay, some of it's yes or no logic. You know, for example, was there any benefits paid to a member under 60? If there's not, then fantastic. Okay, where there is a warning, okay, we flag the line item, okay, where we've found it. So in a negative balance, we've checked the bank accounts, and we've found some negative balances throughout the year. So we're just flagging those. Okay. Now, you can leave comments, you know, for example, you can say, you know, this is okay for whatever reason, once you've done your review, and then you can mark it as okay. Okay, so from a workflow perspective, you can move everything out of warnings and into that good to go section, leave comments all the way through. Okay. You can also create queries. Now, these queries can be created from almost anywhere in the system, any part of the checklist items, any part of the financials. So you can create internal queries to your staff, external queries to your customer, and they're the ones that are going to appear on this external query section for your customer, or you can create review points. Okay, so you could say this is a review point item. You can choose part of the sys to reference, and then you can just write whatever and save those. Okay, so as you sort of work through the various components of the job, you can just accumulate those queries. You can just save them all up and then shoot an email alert over to either your internal or external contacts, so they're not getting email notifications for every query that's raised. Okay. All right. Next bit of automation again. So this is all sort of happening before the audit started, right? Obviously, you can go through those observations, but we're flagging before you've even done anything where the warnings are. The other thing that we're going to do is work out what's material. Okay. So over up here in your admin settings, you do have your materiality and risk matrix set up. Okay. So it's in the global banner up here, meaning this is going to happen on every fund automatically. So when we set you up, we'll talk you through this, and you can, tell us what you want in here. So for example, pretty standard again, we can say that overall materiality is going to be 5% of assets, class of balance is 5% of income and expenses, and then 5% of overall materiality is going to be trivial, right? So when you import a fund, so I'm just going to click back through, I'll skip ahead to the data, and I'll come back to all of this detail in a moment, but just to show you the materiality. Oops, I've actually overridden this already. I've jumped the gun. So let's start off with 100%. So just to explain what's happened there. So overall class of balances and trivial are default, right? So we're going to have these 5% figures. When you actually go into the materiality in the fund dashboard, we're now populating what those figures are. So we've got the total assets, and then we've got the 5% that we've worked out. Okay. Now, performance materiality, for those of you that don't know, is a way that you can override what the overall materiality is. So at 100%, it's just going to be the same figure there. So if we go back in to the assets, we've only got one item that's material. Okay, so we might want more than that. So we can go back into the materiality assessments on the dashboard view of the job, edit those, say we want that to be 50%. And then you can come back in, and now you've got a bigger sample size. Okay, so now we've got 4 based on that, whatever, the half of the figure of 118,000. All right, so that's just a way that you can control your materiality. All right. So we've covered the risk assessment, the observations and materiality, which all happens automatically. We also build you out an analytical procedure. So it's just a pretty straightforward view of the bucket, current, prior year, and variances. Okay, as a snapshot, I understand this is a checklist item in the audit checklist, so we build that out automatically for you. So then we've got the pre-audit checklist. Okay, so in this plan part, so this acceptance and continuance, independence assessment, audit plan and strategy. Okay, so this is going to be the same for every single audit that you do. Okay, now we'll provide you all of these checklist items. We've got a menu option up here where you can control the checklist templates. As you can see, we'll provide you the relevant and compliant checklist for each year. But you can go and edit them. You can go and write your own, add checklist items. It's completely up to you. It's completely customizable. Okay. What you can also do now, this is quite a new feature, is you can actually predetermine comments. Right. So if there's particularly in like the standard common part of the checklist that we're talking about now, there could be some common paragraphs or comments that you want to leave in on your records every single time. So you can go and punch all those in and then save that checklist and then preload them automatically every time you've got a job and you want to do that. Okay. You can also check off the whole section all in one go. there are the comments, and that's where they would live. You've got the ability to leave documents, and you've got the ability to create queries, as we covered off before as well. Okay, so that's your plan section, and some automations in there. So if we go into process now, so this is actually where we start doing some of the custom part of the audit. So the first thing that we do in the financial part of the audit is we check what buckets are in each particular fund, and then we present you the relevant checklist accordingly. Okay, so for example, this particular fund's got a property, 2 properties by the looks of things, and we've got the property checklist. Okay, so if it didn't have a property, we wouldn't be there presenting you the property checklist. So for you to complete each job's audit and for you to track exactly where you're up to, all you need to do is get these sections up to 100%. Okay, to get them up to 100%, you just need to check off the checklist item in each section. Okay, as I demonstrated before, you can mark them all off. Totally up to you. I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't do any of that. Up to you as auditors what you want to do, but the software does facilitate some of that, I guess, shortcut or quick step processing, if you so choose. All right, so the data comes across from BGL. We've got the underlying transactions here as well, if you need to look at those. All of your data here, a checkbox to help you identify which you've done and audited, particularly if you're using sampling. Now, these outline document icons here are the ones that are automatically imported from BGL workpapers. Okay, so we've automatically brought in whatever your customer has parked against that line item. So over here, we've got this Community First Credit Union statement. Okay, already there to save you a bit of time. Even if they weren't there and the documents came in, okay, so on the right here, you do have a summary of all of your documents. There's an option where you can view all of your documents. Otherwise, when you bookmark them and park them in the various areas, we've also got a customized folder structure that matches the chart of accounts as well, where you can park all your docs. But all documents will just give you a view of everything. You can use the OCR technology to go and find specifically what you're looking for. Okay, so yes, the document's already there from BGL, but even the uploaded ones, you can still use this technology. So let's just, I'm just going to delete this bookmark for the sake of the example. All right, so there's no document there now. I'm just going to go and search this closing balance here for Aspire cash account. All right, so that figure's appeared a few times, okay, because there's some BGL reports in there, things like investment movement summary as an example. So I can see the second one here is my statement. So it's taken me exactly to where on the page that figure is and highlighted it for me, okay? Now, if your customers upload a 200-page document and that's on page 53, then that will take you exactly to that page. So the power of the OCR is really handy. Obviously, it's difficult to control the behavior of what your accountants do. Some send you itemized documents, some it's one big file. Okay, so it won't matter when you get the documents and the data into Cloudoffis. Okay, we present a standardized approach and provide you the tools to get you through no matter what. All right, so now that I leave that little bookmark there, next time I open up this, so again, if you've got a preparer doing this, then as a reviewer, you can just open this up, or as the auditor, you can open it up, and we're going to go straight to that bookmark. Again, if it's on page 25 or whatever, it's going to take you exactly to where that bookmark was left. You've also got the ability to leave comments and make highlights and whatnot, so edit the PDF to some degree as well. Okay. You can also just drag and drop documents into the checklist items or into a line item as well. So you can use the functionality there or drag and drop. Okay, so there is a lot of flexibility in the way that the document and the referencing works. Okay. All right. So look, I won't go through the entire audit, but you sort of get the picture as you go through. You've got your materiality. If you want a sample, that's great. A document. Sometimes your customer might park that in the shares and listed companies. For example, if it's a portfolio statement, they probably haven't, bookmarked or saved the document like 15 times, they're just going to leave it up in the heading section. So you can use those heading sections there as well. All right, so you go through the whole audit, get everything done. Then you've got your review checklist screen. So your audit program checklist over here is basically a summary of the top half is your plan, so your pre-audit stuff, and then your bottom half is your process, okay, which is the customized financial part of the audit. Again, check all it off, load predefined comments. You've then got other checklists, so your audit completion checklist, any other checklists that you've created or uploaded yourself, and then your SIS checklist as well. Okay. So you'll see here that these are all various queries that we can create. So like at any point, you can create this external query and get that sent directly to your customer. Okay. And here's what I was talking about. You can publish or publish an email. Okay. So if you publish, go back to your fund summary. If you go to the queries and review points section of the job, you can go to your external queries and say, okay, I've raised 5 queries that I want to get sent to my accounting customer. You can just hit notify now. Okay. And then they'll just get that email notification in one go. Okay. You can also get a summary of your review points. Now, your review points are a really good way to identify, you know, where you've got a management letter qualification or contravention. And what part, right? So we've got a work paper area reference, and then you can also reference part of the SIS as well. Okay, so if we go back to the dashboard, so let's just assume everything's done, right? So the preparer's done everything, the reviewer's done everything, the auditor's gone through. They can see that there's 4 management letter items that we need to sort out. Okay, so back to those letters and reports that I was mentioning before. So at the job level, you've got access to all of your templates to just go and generate yourself a management letter. Okay, so if we just view the PDF, actually what we might do is edit the PDF. All right, so this has been produced using the templates, populating all the various information, fund information, order information, etc. Okay. Now, traditionally, we've been using this HTML editor, right? Which is, it does the job, but it's just not as nice as using Microsoft, right? Everyone pretty much uses Microsoft Word. So we've got a Word integration that that we're going to build. It's actually, yeah, just currently being tested, and yeah, aiming for next month. So if we just go to a test portal, so I'm just in my QA portal here, and we'll go to this demo job here. All right, open up this sample doc. So we've got sample Word doc, 3-dot menu, download to edit with Microsoft Office. Okay, so this is a game changer. So not only, as I mentioned before, can you open things like Excel work papers, run some additional logic and save it without downloading the Excel and getting it out of the software and uploading it back in. You can just do it straight from Cloudoffis, but the Word integration is going to allow us to manage our letters. Okay, so anything here, $bracket, this is integrated into the Cloudoffis plugin with our placeholder logic, which is going to go and fetch relevant data from the software. Okay, and obviously a lot of this software, a lot of this data, I should say, comes from BGL. Okay, so as we've leveraged your customer's login, okay, and that token's carried through, we're pulling all these various data in for you to then build out your templates. Your customers can access those as well. Okay, now there's some really good features, obviously, in Microsoft Word. It's the premier document manager. So there's things like, you know, being able to insert quick parts. So you could go and save in various management letter items, you know. So if you go to your dashboard and you see that there's 4 management letter items here and they relate to whatever sections, you know, you can sort of get yourself set up to be able to like just pre-populate various things in there and then save. So document saved and uploaded successfully into Cloudoffis. Okay, so because it's direct integration into Word and not just like an editor or reader, you get all the features. Okay, which is really, really, really good. And then you can just immediately share that with your customer. Okay, so it really is as simple as that. All right. A few other features just before we get on to what's coming. So what else is coming, I should say. So you do have the ability to generate a file. Okay, so we'll keep your data for 10 years. Obviously, it's I think a 7-year requirement, and we'll keep that data for you, so long as you're a customer, of course. If you ever need to get it out of the actual software in the cloud, you can just generate the file at any time. Okay, so you can choose to, if you want to get rid of the commentary as an example, you can do that, and then generate that that folder. And I'll just show you one that I've got prepared. So you basically get, any letters, reports, you get any documents, and then you get the PDF of all the various data, all the work that you've done. So if you've tick box something, you've got all the document links, etc. Okay, so that's 100-page pack. So you can generate that at any time, even if there's updates or changes. If you raise an external query and you said, please update a certain account in BGL and resubmit it, all they need to do is update it in BGL, then you can go and re-import and override that data. Okay, so it's really friendly for that whole external workflow, which again, given independence is what everybody's situation is at the moment. There's you're no longer going down the hall or just talking to your colleague to get that done. Okay. What else should I be showing you? Another feature, actually, finally, before we get into the new stuff, we've got this new label function. Okay, so it's quite basic, but it's really powerful. So you can go and create various labels. So it's free text. You can call them whatever you want, whatever logic that you want to use. As an example, we've set up some complexity logics as simple fund, moderate or complex fund, urgent or not urgent, whatever, or the pension stage or where it's up to, if you want to identify that. So at the job level, you can then go and mark what's appropriate for that job. Okay. And then so you can use that for things like going into your list of jobs, using your filter, which we've got a range of useful filters there, but client, staff, firm name, year, status, etc. But you can then go and filter by label and show us all the ones that are TRIS in this example. We've also got a reporting module, and you can run reports and export them out into Excel. Okay, so again, you've got the ability to filter by those as well as everything else. For anything, for example, with contraventions, I understand there's a requirement to be able to report on where your contraventions are. You can simply just run that from here as well. And everything you marked as a contravention in that review point that I showed you earlier will now appear. Okay. So this sort of starts leading us to how we report, how we use our data in a useful way in Cloudoffis to help us make better decisions as auditors and practice managers. Okay, so another big ticket item that we're currently working on and going to release, I'm just going to show you like an image of it, okay, is our analytics dashboard. Okay, so there'll be a new menu item up the top here, analytics, okay, and there'll be a range of different data analysis that we can show you. Okay, things like tracking your growth. Okay, when we've got our billing module included, you'll be able to enter in, what the revenue is and the cost and all this sort of stuff. So we can then start tracking growth analysis over multiple years, as an example, or to targets, budget versus actual. So as an example, if you've got relationships with customers and they all said they were going to send you 100 audits each this year, you could track what you've planned for versus what they've done or where you're up to. You can see when you're getting your jobs in. So when am I busiest? Average closure time. So where are my queries getting stuck? When am I getting the most queries in the year? All this sort of stuff. Okay, so this really helps with managing your customers' behavior. If you're having quarterly meetings with them and whatnot, you can sort of go through some of this stuff and say, okay, these are some of the things we might need to work on, or whatever. Or, you know, are they profitable customers? You know, you obviously given them a quote based on, you know, an expectation, and you might be spending 3 times as much time on one particular customer because of the way that the data comes across. You know, you can start learning all of that sort of stuff through here. Contravention analysis, types of queries, right? You know, so if let's say you start getting, you know, all of your queries are relating to a certain aspect. Again, that can become a behavioral thing, or, you know, you can treat that accordingly when you speak with your customers. Job average aging by status. So where are my jobs getting stuck? You know, are they all waiting for me as the auditor to get them signed off, or are they all waiting for queries to be answered at the customer, or is it the staff, or whatever? Okay, so really insightful things there. Down the bottom here, you've then got staff assignment. So, you know, staff workload, managing capacity, all this sort of stuff. Really, really powerful. Billing's another really interesting one. So this is what I was sort of explaining before about an integration into Xero and Myob. So part of that is also to be able to potentially get back some data from those APIs. Obviously, there's a million apps, for example, that plug into Xero. So that kind of thing's readily available. So we can start, you know, giving you all of this sort of analysis on your billing, what's outstanding, you know, where are you making money from your different types of fees and complexity and all this sort of stuff. Okay. We've also got the same type of view I mentioned just a moment ago by customer. You can run the same type of thing by customer. Okay, so that again, you can see, you can imagine how powerful that is with you know, managing those customer relationships and behaviors and costs and all that sort of thing. All right. That's pretty much all I wanted to cover off. I might just see if there's any questions and see if we can cover off anything other than me moving my microphone closer to my mouth.
Thanks, Clint. So I guess if anyone's got any questions, they can put it into the Q&A panel, which will be on the Zoom panel there, I guess, and we can happy to answer any questions that do come through.
All right.
But I guess, and I guess we will forward Clint's details to all attendees as well. So if you do want ask any guys personal questions, one-on-ones, organize a demo, etc., we'll have Clint's details available.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, guys, so some of this stuff that we're talking about, so, you know, particularly these items here, you know, in addition to everything that we covered off, obviously the way you see the software today is what's available today and available now. However, we're working on this kind of thing in the next few months, and we've got a lot of other projects that we're working on to help make life easier for you guys as auditors, as well as accountants as well. So feel free to reach out. I'm at clint@cloudoffis.com.au if there's any further questions. But yeah, I'm sure the details will go out along with any recordings and things like that as well. Good. All right. Jeevan, thank you very much. I think that might be it, mate.
I think no questions come through, so you clearly explained it very well.
Hopefully a good sign.
Definitely. Okay, well, I think that's it. So yeah, thank you, Clint, for today. And I guess thank you everyone for attending. So as mentioned, we will send you Clint's details and a link to today's recording. So if you do have any follow-up questions, you can definitely get those attended to. So thank you everyone for today.
Thanks, everybody.